Okay. Well, I guess we can just jump in and I'll talk about Ama La Vida as a whole before we let Soula hop in, then she'll take over from there because she'll be leading this event. But my name is Justice and I'm a relationship strategist here at Ama La Vida. And we are a life, career, health and wellness and leadership coaching company. And what my position here at the company is when you go to any of our websites, Instagram, Facebook, and you sign up to speak with someone, you will probably end up on my calendar or someone else on my relationship team. And what we will do during our time together is we're going to really kind of unpack your current situation, especially how that pertains to your goals and what you want to get out of working with one of our coaches. And then my position really exists to make sure that you get put with the right person. So we're going to ask deep questions about where you want to go, what some of the obstacles in your way might be, and how we can overcome those together. So really, I exist to help pair you up with a coach given the best personality, skill set, and background that you find the most value in working with to make the most out of your time with us. So that's a little bit about me and our company. And then if anybody has anything off the top of mind that they would like to speak about, given any of those topics I just mentioned, I'll throw my link in there now to schedule time with me. First come, first serve. And if someone has something they want to jump into, it'd be great. I'm more than happy to speak with anybody. And then Soula, are you there?
I'm here.
Perfect. So this is our host for the day. This is Soula from Living Opera. Do you want to hop in and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes. Yes, I do want to do that. That's kind of part of what I'm going to talk about today. I, first of all, just want to thank Ama La Vida for inviting me. And I know that people always say like, oh, and I'm so humbled, blah, 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 and whatever. But I am really touched that so many of you came out today to listen to me share from my life, from my experiences. And I just wanted to say up front, like, I just want you to take the meat and leave the bones. Like anything that I say today that doesn't work for your life, I'm still figuring it out too. So I want you to feel just comfortable and uplifted and excited. And I just also want to say up front, like, I'm a professional opera singer. I don't have like something to sell you today, apart from all of you young opera singers. You'll need to take my course. It's going to help you. If this blows you away, you need to also see what we have. So all of y'all who came up from Living Opera community, I am talking to you, but the rest of you, I just wanted to talk to you about like my experiences and how I dealt with burnout, how I identified my calling and just other things. So we're going to get kind of deep. If at any time you're like, oh my gosh, this is like a lot, I don't see your faces, which I kind of want to see your faces. Like, let's just be real. Okay. I'm looking at a bunch of like just squares right now. But anyway, okay. Hi. Okay. All the Living Opera people. Hello. Hi. But if at any time it's like, I need to get coffee. I need to get something to drink. I need something, like, get up, go. It's all right. If you need to, I'm serious. If you need to like dance or you need to like, just like work it out, like, we do these in the Living Opera community pretty frequently. We call them our vocal lab. Amanda, your hair looks so pretty. I haven't seen you for a while. And so we all like know about that protocol when we're meeting this way as a community. I know that most of you are meeting me for the first time, so you're like, what is all this? But we at Living Opera saw a need to have these kind of conversations as a community. And part of the reason why we have such an international group today is because opera is so international. We're everywhere. So we opera singers are everywhere. So I'm just so grateful to be here today to share with you. And I'm grateful for my team members from Living Opera taking the time out. I hope that you're going to get something out of it as well. I've got Maya and Christos and Norman and yeah, you're all on the same page here with me. That's great. So, all right. This is my first webinar. So thank you for letting me cut my teeth this way. I am really excited. I'm also like a bit nervous. I would rather be standing on a stage in a costume with, a ton of makeup on and yeah, but probably because I've done that a lot and I haven't done this really ever. So it's all good. We're going to be covering just like a little bit about me, my background, a little bit about like, you could have worn a costume. Nicole, if you start coming in hot in the chat this way, I'm never going to get through. Nicole is the CEO of Ama La Vida. She is an awesome person and they're an awesome company. Oh my gosh. I want to talk to you about why we started Living Opera. And then we're going to get into basically like 3 to 4 weightier topics. No, like my team is just already acting bad. Okay. All right. We're going to get into some weightier things. So the first thing that I would like everyone to do, and I'm going to do it too, I'm going to do it on my pineapple pad, is just like write down or on your phone a situation or a circumstance in your life where you're like, this looks impossible. It is terrible. I don't know what I'm going to do about it. It's frustrating. It's keeping me up at night. I know that might sound a little over dramatic, but some of us are going through some real stuff. So just write it down, and I'm going to do it too. And we're going to keep this for later, and we're hopefully going to deal with this today. I'm going to try. So yeah, and also I don't have slides because I'm not about that life. I'm going to be reading from notes. So I won't be offended if you're like, man, she keeps looking at the notes. What's up with that? I'm doing the best I can. All right. Normally all this would be memorized. So it's all good. So now I'm going to start on my notes. All right. So here we go. I'm sorry, these intros. Anyway, but honestly, my goal is to share with you how I've been able to navigate the intense demands of being a professional opera singer and now entrepreneur. And I have experienced my set of challenges and setbacks as you all have. So we're going to be talking about how to identify the red flags of burnout. Then we're going to talk about urgency versus priority, which is really just about time management and how to promote good health and habits through time management. Then we're going to be talking about something that I didn't tell the Ama La Vida team about, but I'm really excited about. We're going to be talking about career versus calling, or how career and calling kind of mesh together, because that's not necessarily always self-evident. And then I'm going to be teaching you my technique for how I just totally changed my mindset and how I broke out of some of these unhealthy patterns in my life. And I call it speaking life, or activating your voice. And I think it's appropriate for some of you who have never done these things to be taught how to activate your voice by an opera singer. So, you know, y'all can say you did that this weekend. So I just really want to provide insights that will help you prioritize yourself and take an active role in your career, but also your personal development to work towards your goals while keeping your well-being front and center. So, all right, got through the first page. So anyway, this is a bit of background about me. I always wanted to be a performer. I started to sing before I could walk. This is the only prop that I will show you today. This is me when I'm 18 months old in Greece at my aunt's house singing. And that's just what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a performer. I loved the stage. I just lived and breathed and dreamed music, and later opera. And eventually I reached my goal, and it was like the ultimate goal for me. I wanted to be a paid professional opera singer in Europe, and I did it. Yay. I had the money, I had the clothes, I had the roles, I was admired. You know, they give you bouquets after you sing, got to wear fancy dresses, got to travel the world, and all while being paid to do that, right? And I was so miserable, like big time miserable. My dream of being a singer was so built up in my mind that the reality of the job just felt very anticlimactic. It was just a huge letdown to me. Now, for some people, it's not like that, but for me, I was like, now what? So those feelings of disappointment really haunted me, and they haunted me for a long time, because technically I was like in my dream job, right? I don't know if anybody can relate to that. If you can relate to that, wave to me. So I'm going to talk about how I broke out of that. So, but first, for those of you who aren't opera people, I wanted to give you like just a quick overview of what does an opera, like what's it like to be an opera singer, or what is that? So there are actually hundreds of thousands of us around the world. I think like half this audience is probably in music. I don't know. Again, like wave if you're, yeah, I see you. Manda, you got to wave, girl. So yeah, there you go. Sorry. But we train for even like decades to be able to do this. And part of why we have to train for so long is that we have to be able to project our voice into very large spaces. And we never use microphones, which people are usually surprised to hear about. So that's part of why it takes so long. But also opera singers don't usually come into their own until their mid 30s or so. So in one sense, it makes the career arc very long. And being an opera singer can be a lifelong career if you're fortunate enough to stay in it. But sadly, many people burn out after like 5 to 10 years on the job. And this can be for various reasons like financial hardships or vocal problems. But some people really don't like the lifestyle because it does require you to be away from home for most of the year. And that makes it really hard to build a personal life or to be part of a community. And this is actually something that I have also had a lot of struggle with. So these topics are all part of the work I do on the platform that I built with my team here called Living Opera. So Norman, where are you? I don't see you on my screen. Norman?
I'm right here.
Hi. Okay. So
hello.
Norman and I started this platform in the very beginning of 2019 after watching so many of our colleagues burn out after just a couple seasons. So I found this really tragic after all the hard work and effort they put into their career and also the thousands of dollars they'd invested. And by the way, just like some of the expenses, for some of the younger singers that are here, I apologize for everybody else. And I'm sure you know this, but I have to say, if this is the first time we're meeting, y'all know these expenses never end, right? We're still paying hundreds of dollars for voice lessons. There's still like a lot of expenses associated with the job, even after school. And so there does need to be some sort of plan for how you're going to get cash flow. So anyway, had to say that, have to be responsible. So we founded Living Opera after watching our colleagues burn out and just see so many great talents just go by the wayside. And this also hit really close to home for me because I watched my partner Norman go through several bouts of performance anxiety for over 2 years, from 2016 to 2018. And I watched him go through just really terrible experiences. And it made both of us suffer. It really diminished our quality of life. And so what I found when we finally started talking about what we'd experienced just more openly, there was actually no space to have those conversations as a community. And so we were like, all right, let's create the space. So that's how Living Opera was born. And it wasn't born with some big fancy plan. It was literally born with the tools I had at my disposal, which was firstly my voice, a little bit of wisdom, and like my smartphone. That's how we started the whole platform. So for any of you today who are like, I don't know where to begin, if you have those things, you can start a whole movement. Just a side note, it's not in my notes. So we started small, going live once a week on social media, and we would tackle issues that nobody was talking about in our sector, like rejection, like finances, and yes, burnout, which was just super taboo. And I have a lot to say on this topic, having survived many bouts of burnout myself. But I have to say, just watching Norman go through burnout was actually far worse for me in a sense, because I felt helpless and like there was just nothing I could do to help him. I have to say that his burnout manifested more as like fear and dread. When I go through or have gone through it, it manifests more as lethargy and apathy, but none of it's any good. So in his case, he would just dread like going on stage, which is something that he previously loved. And it was his job. So it's like, we had to find a solution for that. In my case, my burnout came more after building Living Opera and seeing it gain traction so quickly. So I had so much coming from all ends, like all over the world, all day long, that like I would literally get to the point where I would like cry if my phone would light up again with another notification or another request, another voice lesson, another question, another DM. And I was like, why is this happening? Why do I feel like this? I want to help people. I want these changes to happen. Must be spreading myself too thin. And in Norman's case, we had to also, thanks Norman, we had to also go through and get like professional help. It's like, why am I reacting to this? And you just realize that there are certain choices that you make. that can lead you to be burnt out, because you're actually trying to help everyone. So I'm going to get into that in 1 second, but I just wanted to right now say, like, because there's like 80 of us here, somebody here is definitely burnt out. Okay. I mean, that's just the math of things. And so I just want to say to you today, and I can't see everybody that's here, that it's okay. It's going to be okay. It's going to get better. You're here today, right? Because we said we're going to talk about this. I'm going to do my best to help you, but I just want to encourage you today because I get it. My team gets it. The Ama La Vida team gets it. And we don't want you to be in distress. All right. And you're also like in a safe environment. Okay. So I had to just say that. I love my job and I still burn out. That's from the CEO, right? Me too. All right. So, so in every new section, I've got this like bolded and like underlined and stuff. And when I look down for this section, I'm like, this is very dramatic, what I wrote, but it is. Identifying red flags that lead to total burnout. Sorry, that just makes me laugh at myself. I'm sorry. Okay. So anyway, the first red flag is that you don't set up boundaries. This is my big thing. Don't set up boundaries. You're trying to be all things to all people all of the time. So I'm trying to tell you right now that it's literally impossible to do that. You can't do it. I can't do it. All right. The other thing is that if you're positive, if you are like an upbeat person, if you like bring the light and you're able to uplift other people and help them get free of a situation or change their mindset, people inevitably want to be around a person like that, right? So, and you're a giving person. So you need to set up boundaries because you'll eventually have nothing to pour out. And this is something that I'm still learning. Like it's tough, right? The second thing that happens to me when I go through this is because I haven't set up a good boundary. I self-isolate and I neglect self-care, right? Because if I don't have to see people, I don't have to deal with them and their problems. Well, that's not a solution because you got to see people, right? For me, I would feel like a heaviness and like even a depression at the burden of the responsibility. So I just would be like, okay, I'm going to isolate myself. So I won't have to speak to anybody. I'm going to keep projecting like everything's fine out here and maybe it'll go away. No. So what happens, and this is the third point, is it leads to a loss of passion for the assignment. All right. Some of you know what that feels like right now. Okay. Used to be like, yeah, I'm getting up early. Yeah, I'm motivated. I want to chase after this goal of mine. Oh, I'm so excited. I'm building my company. I'm building my business. I'm building my family. Oh, I'm going to the gym, whatever. And then it's like, you're done. You're done. And you just like, you don't even want to see, you want to scream, actually. Just me? Okay, it better not just be me. This leads to my fourth point, which is an overall questioning of purpose and even identity. An overall questioning of purpose and even your identity. So when we feel overwhelmed and burnt out, at least for me, there's like confusion everywhere. Suddenly, I'm not sure, like, who should I be spending my time with? Like, who are my people? What's my purpose? And even like making simple decisions about what we ought to be doing becomes very challenging. And this leads to the final point, my fifth point. I've found, at least in me, this leads to a form of depression and apathy in many or even all parts of life. Real. It's real. So many people that you encounter are putting on a happy face, but inside they feel apathetic, they feel depressed, and they don't know how they're going to break out of that situation. So obviously, all of these 5 points are highly undesirable and they don't lead to a full and thriving life. So I want to lead you through how I broke out of these patterns and how I actually continue to when they try to, rear up again, because they do. And I want to talk to you about how I reprioritized and figured out what was causing the energy drain and then regroup it. So the first thing I had to learn was how to determine when something was truly a priority in my life versus something that was just draining my time or energy. So that meant for me learning the difference between urgency versus priority. And we talked about this a little bit on social media, but urgency versus priority will promote good health through proactive time management. I'm going to repeat that because it's like blah, 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 a lot of words. Urgency versus priority will promote good health through proactive time management. So every person has like binding constraints on their lives. I don't have to go into what they are. Y'all have them, I have them, and it is what it is. So when we talk about urgency versus priority, we're talking about having a definite plan for how we structure and execute our day-to-day life and tasks. So if we work a job where the hours are set for us, some of that planning is just done for us. But if you're self-employed or an entrepreneur or an opera singer and you're not in rehearsal or whatever, then good time management will often make or break the success of your long-term endeavors. So let me just break this down a little bit more. I think of urgency as something that's like a more of a reactive response, like an in the moment response. Like actually right now, I have my phone turned over. I'm going to turn it all the way over. I don't want to see. What if somebody texts me right now? Good grief. Not everybody knows I'm doing this. All right. So 2 factors that define an urgent task for me are like, it requires immediate attention, like a crisis. You have to just go deal with a crisis. Something that's time sensitive or something that I've been postponing, procrastinating about. Or something that doesn't require a lot of effort but needs to be done, like clearing out your email inbox or answering your work colleagues, you know, they need it now. And if you don't tell them, like they can't go through the project, etc. So because these activities are in the moment, they don't usually contribute to my own personal long-term goals and objectives. And so like just as a mini example from my life, sometimes like if I am working on one of my own goals, so this morning I went to the gym. That's one of my goals. It helps me just keep sane. If I were to get maybe a text from, I'm just going to be honest, like Christos or Norman, maybe I'll just wait. I know I'm going to talk to them later, but if I get a text from my agent, I might answer that right away, because if I don't, I might miss a work opportunity. So that's kind of like an urgent thing. Anyway, and for your life, you'll know what that is for your life. Many of you have to complete urgent tasks for your boss or for your family, and don't always find the time to set and execute your own personal objectives. And it's really hard to prioritize yourself when you're trying to contribute and help and make other lives better. And that goes back into the whole burnout cycle. So I get it. So let's talk about what a priority or like an important task looks like and see if we can find some balance in all of this. Are y'all tracking with me? Just wave if you're tracking with me. Yay, some people waved at me, yay, okay. So priority tasks require a more proactive approach. Some people don't really like the proactive approach because they actually enjoy the thrill of a deadline. A time crunch can sometimes be a great motivator, but sometimes it leads to sloppiness or unnecessary stress. So we need to identify urgent and non-essential activities that are just zapping our time and our energy and making us feel urgent, feel strapped, and replace them with activities that promote health in our lives. Just as a side note, we all have both every day. So it's like, we're not going to completely eliminate the urgent, just have to identify it so we can prioritize it. Just want to make sure I said that. So for me, an important task that is something that does contribute to your long-term goals and usually requires an intentional investment of your time that you would otherwise reallocate to urgent or even unimportant tasks. Hello, scrolling on social media. All right. I sorry, but it's kind of important because we have an online business. But anyway, no, it's not. Not for that many hours a day. It's also an activity that contributes to your overall well-being by promoting your physical, emotional, spiritual, or psychological health. So your goals and your health. These are the important things that you need to intentionally invest in. And if something is truly important, it means it's directly related to your long-term goals. And I believe it will also have something that's measurable, like a result that's measurable. So quick example for me and for the other musicians here is when we learn an opera, sometimes they're like 400 pages long. So how are you going to learn that thing? You got to break it down into the smallest tasks. So we got to learn the words, and we got to learn the notes, and we got to learn the rhythms, then we got to learn how to sing the silly thing, and then we got to put it together with the music. So each task requires investment, or it's not going to get done. But on the opposite side of that, like when I do show up and make the time to put in the work, suddenly I know a 400-page long opera, and it's like I didn't even know how that happened. I just showed up. So that is how I would describe a priority task for me. Sometimes I got to do that under time pressure. Don't love it. Have done it. Not my favorite. So I just went off my notes. Sorry guys, 1 second. So so there's a lot of things that we want to accomplish, but it's hard to find the motivation to do them, especially when it's completely self-motivated. So here are a few ways that I bolster my creativity and make sure I find the time for my priority tasks. And I have found that when you actually intentionally make time for those priority tasks, it's like you end up with more time somehow, right? Because you showed up for you first, so you can show up for everybody. All right. So in addition to my work goals like learning music, I like to invest in my overall health with activities that include things like, okay, this is my favorite one. I call it putting my phone in jail. Put my phone in jail, which means it goes into a different room, on silent, sometimes in a box. It stays there until I finish the priority tasks, because I will inevitably get onto Instagram, start talking to somebody, find a new creator that I like. No, put it in jail. I take myself for a walk every day, contributing to my physical health. I treat myself to something I find beautiful, like this week it's these flowers. This contributes to my overall well-being, psychological health, spiritual health, however you want to look at it. I like to read uninterrupted. I read for an hour every morning and just fill myself up with good, edifying things, psychological, spiritual health. And for me, cleaning, like just cleaning something, even if it's something small, or making sure my nails aren't chipped up or whatever, just something that is small that I can see the win right away, that makes my home environment better, that really helps me. So these are just a few things that I do. Yours will be different, but if they work for you, that's what we want. So once we've figured out how to manage burnout and how to take charge of our time, then we can get into the meatier things of our work life. So just 1 second, let's just shake it off. I have to shake it off for 1 second because we're about to get into something a little bit deeper. Drink of water. All right. Great. What is it, Norman? Just be chill. All right. Okay. So this is something I'm
very chill.
I know you are. I know you're so good. You're so good. Something I'm calling career versus calling. It's not really versus, it's career and calling. But I call this understanding the greater plan for your work life. So every single one of you was born with multiple gifts and talents that are waiting to be cultivated and emerge over your lifespan. I always say that if you have breath, you have a purpose. I always say that if you're here, you have a purpose. You were born with a purpose. You're born on purpose. I believe that we all have both a career. I look at this as like how we pay the bills, and then a calling, the way that we express what's in our souls and how we serve people. And both are tied to those ultimate purposes. Now, a career and a calling can be one and the same, but they often don't immediately coincide, and this can lead to a great deal of frustration while we're searching for our lane of effectiveness. When I contemplate my effectiveness and where I've truly been able to be impactful, I see that it is all somehow attached to this voice that I've been given. Now, I used to tie that solely to my singing career, but I don't limit my calling to just singing anymore, because if I did, I would definitely not have the courage to be here speaking with you today. But at this point in my life, I believe that my calling is to use my voice to bring clarity and freedom to people all over the world via many different means. So yes, on the operatic stage, but also via social media, via a webinar like this, through writing, through prayer, through teaching, and probably other things that I haven't discovered yet. But up until 2 years ago, I was completely fixated on one iteration of what my voice could do. I wanted to stand on stage and sing the great opera roles, and ultimately I was miserable because I couldn't see how that was bringing lasting transformation to my sector or my community. I realized I wanted to live a life of greater service and impact, and discovering this service helped me step into a calling alongside my career. Okay. So how do we determine our greater calling? I've thought of 3 areas where we can measure this. There's probably more. Number 1, you identify effectiveness. I measure my effectiveness not by my own personal satisfaction from an interaction, but in the transformation of the lives of the other people through my service to them. Number 2, I identify opportunity. A person that can solve a problem for another person will always have plenty of opportunity. So sometimes the problem that I solve is I'm a soprano and I stand on stage and I sing. Other times the problem I solve is to use my voice to speak out against human trafficking. That's one of my passions. Other times I use my voice to instruct some of you who are my students. But some of these opportunities do provide me with more personal satisfaction than others. But no matter what the opportunity is, I relish it because I feel like I'm in an effective lane of service. My final point, identify favor. When you have favor with an individual or a group of people, you will start to see certain missing pieces come into alignment more quickly. Things that took years to accomplish suddenly start to happen in like months and weeks. You have the right help at the right time. There's also reciprocity in those relationships, and you're energized and you have a sense of purpose. You don't want to move out of that place of favorable circumstances, even if you can't yet see how that present assignment fits into the greater calling in your life. So how do you do that? Like, I mean, okay, we have those 3 points. How do you do it? There are many different things that need to change, but I want to give you the key for me. The thing I had to do to really find overall well-being in my career and in my calling was to change my vocabulary. I had to change how I spoke about myself, people around me, situations. There's a saying that life and death is in the power of your words. And I have found that that is absolutely true. We tend to speak what we believe or see in the moment, and this shapes our circumstances powerfully. It is so tempting to reflect on our circumstances and just say what we see, and I urge you not to do that. If I were to speak what I see today, I'm binding myself to that limitation. Now, I'm not talking about just being silly and like jumping off the deep end and not engaging with reality. But if you look around and you don't like what you see, I am saying give yourself permission to say, I can change that. I want every person right now, even if you feel uncomfortable, say, I can change that. Say it out of your mouth. You got to say it before you believe it. So when we started Living Opera, our intention was to create the culture that we wanted to live in and invite others into it. It started with believing and saying, I can change that. I can change those circumstances. If I were just to speak to the present culture of classical music, I would have to talk about like, oh, it's backbiting, it's full of betrayal, there's no money, there's no opportunity, there's no growth, and there's tons of other problems that we don't want to get into. No. Instead, I ask myself, what would be my ideal culture? How would I promote well-being in the workplace if it were just up to me? That's what I'm going to pursue, and I'm not going to stop until I see it. And I'm going to speak it until I see it. And I call this speaking life or activating your voice. Ultimately, our actions are related to a three-part system. Starts as a thought. The thought finds your way to your heart, which is the seat of your emotions. And those thoughts and emotions manifest in action, either positively or negatively. The battlefield for your overall well-being, your purpose, your career, and your calling is in your mind. If you cannot get a hold of what happens in here, it is exceedingly difficult to rein in the emotions and actually put into action the things you truly want to do. And I fight this battle every single day. I am in a constant state of renewing my mind and making sure I'm speaking life to my circumstances. Getting control of your thought life starts with what you fill yourself up with. I purposely disengage with content, people, situations, circumstances, etc., that bring dysfunction, disturbance, strife, fear into my life. No. And then I fill myself up with things that have the opposite effect. If it's not authentic, real, respectful, beautiful, peaceful, excellent, or kind, I do my best to avoid it. Not always possible. I do my best. I take charge of what goes in here and here. And so I can take charge of what comes out of here and here. Here's a quick example from my own life. Sometimes when I'm a little bit nervous, even like today for this webinar, or when I step on stage, I literally speak to my voice, I speak to my heartbeat, I speak to my breath, and I just tell them what they're gonna do. Sounds like a little bit of a weird thing to do, but it really works for me. And it helps me break through a level of limitation that would otherwise ruin my experience. So many of you can think of a circumstance at work or in your life where you need to use this technique. And in fact, we're going to activate your voice right now and break out of those limitations. Okay. So we started doing this in our vocal master classes, the Vocal Lab. And some singers loved it, and some singers like, I am so uncomfortable right now. So wherever you fall on the spectrum, it's okay with me. We're going to activate your voice. We're going to speak to your mind. We're going to speak to your heart, and we're going to speak to your voice. And we are going to just change the paradigm, change the circumstance today. All right. So I've prepared 9 affirmations, 3 for your mind, 3 for your heart, 3 for your voice. All right. So sometimes when we do it in our class, we put our hand on our head, but you don't have to do that. You can do whatever you want. I'm going to do it, but you don't have to do it. All right. So first of all, I choose to think about the good things in my life. I choose to think about the good things in my life. I believe everything will work together for my good. I believe everything will work together for my good. I have the power to transform my thinking. All right. I'm going to place my hand on my heart. Say, I am here on purpose for a purpose. I have faith in myself. I am filled with courage and strength. And by the way, that's a really important one for when you're terrified. I'm about to step on stage and sing for 3,000 people. I am filled with courage and strength. No, I'm actually terrified, and I need to go to the bathroom for the 18th time, and I really want some water, but I can't. I'm filled with courage and strength. All right. It works. Okay. Finally, place your hands on your voice. Activate your voice. I use my words to build up and not to tear down. I use my words to build up and not to tear down. Remember, life and death is in the power of our words. I speak what I want to see. Remember, I can change that. I can change that. My voice has the power to change the world. Some of my students recognize that one from our vocal labs, but it's true. All right. So now we've just covered so much ground. I'm going to pull out my pineapple pad again. This is where I wrote down that situation that is like really insurmountable. Don't know how I'm going to get over it. But now I have a tool. I'm going to speak life to it. I have the power to be a great whatever. I have the power to change my boss's mind. I have the power to show up. I have the power to do this. Whatever you want to do. It's going to be different for you. But you've got a key now. You've got a tool now. You're going to speak life to that situation. You're going to watch the circumstances around you change. Thank you all for your time today. Thank you for the opportunity. I'm just really grateful. And if anybody has questions, I'll do best to answer. But I just bless all of you. And I thank you so much. And thank you to Ama La Vida.
Thank you so much, Soula. You touched on some really deep points there. I definitely know I have a lot that I'm going to take away from this. First of all, we do want to say thank you to everyone who did show up today, from the Living Opera community, the ALV community, and if you found us on Eventbrite, welcome as well. If you found anything of value or anything like that, you know, Soula, were you a coach in another life? Because you could have fooled me.
No. Can I just be completely honest with everybody here? Like, just really candid. Is this going on YouTube? It's going on the internet, isn't it?
Yeah.
Man, that's all right. So I won't be completely candid. I'll be semi-candid. I've just been around a lot of dysfunction. And I am a person that has always searched for truth and tried to understand why. Like, why? I had to say, like, even when I was a little girl, I always felt like something special was going to happen to me, but it was like just everything. Hell was breaking out around me, like constantly. Like, what is this? This doesn't match up with how I feel inside. And I think ultimately that was a gift. If y'all go on our YouTube channel, you'll see, I mean, I don't mean to harp on this, but I mean, one of the things I didn't mention, because I really wanted to make this about how you guys can, you know, get over your challenges. But I mean, prior to going after my career, there were just so many setbacks, like so many of them. And it culminated with I graduated school. On the week after I graduated school, I got cancer. It's like, what is this? Like, are you joking right now? What? And I just thought, like, okay, something out here is like trying to destroy me. And I just want to help people and sing and, you know, just like not die. I mean, like, so I started searching for truth. I just started searching for truth and read a lot and traveled a lot for my job and tried to observe people and ask questions. And that's kind of as much as I want to say, like, openly, since this is going on YouTube. If we were just being like all just us together, I'd tell you more. But yeah, it's I just have read a lot and tried to reconcile a lot of questions for myself, because I truly hate seeing people suffer. I hate it. I just hate it. And I've watched family members just go in circles for years, and I thought, wow, you know, these are such great people. If only they could break out of these circumstances. So.
Wow, well, that's beautiful. Well, congratulations to everything you've been able to accomplish. And it's lovely that we were able to make this connection. If anyone here found anything of value or would like to explore a little bit more about, you know, some of the things she touched on, such as overcoming burnout, working on setting boundaries, priorities in your life, time management, or overall just well-being, I'm going to go ahead and drop my link again. If you want to throw some time on my calendar to speak with, I'd be more than happy to partner you up with one of the coaches on our team. We've got some coaches that have really done some life-changing things and would love just to meet some new people and help them out of their situations as well. So please don't hesitate to throw time on my calendar. And Soula, everything, all links that everybody needs will be sent, as well as an email, because this was recorded. But feel free to reach out to anybody on the link if you need anything at all. Does anybody have any questions now? Do we have time for questions? Feel free to come off mute and ask it, or you can type it in the chat. I'm watching that. So now the floor is everybody else's.
Don't be shy. Just don't make it hard, okay?
Or you can come off and tell her how great she did.
I'm just joking.
I'm driving, so I'm gonna unmute and just ask instead of talking. But you didn't put slides, but some of the information that you back and listen when we can actually write down some notes. Is that going to be something you can access?
Are you, sorry, you broke up a little bit. Are you asking if some of my notes will be available? No. You know what? I had thought about this. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, just like if this is a recorded event, so is it actually going up on YouTube? So if we want to go back and listen to it later, because I was driving during the whole thing, but I to go back and write down what you said when you were talking about, you know, the thoughts are hard. I want to write some of the stuff down.
Great.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll be sent in a follow-up email to everybody here, as well as up on our YouTube channel. And then I believe you're putting up on yours, Soula?
Yeah, I would love to.
Perfect. So yes, it'll be available for you.
Great, great.
And
Yeah,
then, so you have someone ask for your affirmations. So if you could send those over, we can include those as well.
we put those. I'm going to put them on Instagram for sure, because we have a little pattern of that. And I think I've got an affirmations highlight on my Instagram as well. Some of them are already there. I reuse some of my favorites. It's all right. If you never heard them before, you need them. But I'm thinking that maybe over the next couple of weeks, we'll also put some of these concepts on the Living Opera blog. This is kind of how we operate a little bit, because I'm always thinking about like who's coming to the website, and we probably be more proactive about that. I think Christos, you want us to be more proactive about that, but I also sometimes don't know fully what I'm going to talk about when I do stuff like this, and I'll have something totally different prepared, which is what happened here. I had started an outline, and then it's like I suddenly had these things, and I think sometimes that's just what happens when you do this kind of stuff.
Does anybody else have any other questions or anything for us?
At the beginning, oh, what does it say? At the beginning, you said that singing. Yeah, you can ask singing questions if you want. It's fine. I mean, we have a few minutes. Excuse me, let me get the chat up here. Singers don't really come together until their mid-30s. Would you say that to professionals have rejected? Okay, yeah, this is a big question. Okay, so this is just something, here's a learning moment for everybody. Man, you know, there's so much mixed messaging in our business. So everybody's told like, you have to get on stage, you have to do your career, you have to do it right now, right now, right now, right now, right now. And then they're like, oh, you're too young for that role. And then suddenly it's like, well, you haven't sung that role yet. And it's like, what's the timing? What is this? And it is so frustrating. So here's the thing. If you want to do young artist programs, which let's just shed a bit of perspective on this. This is kind of applicable for everybody. So, you know, we're told, for example, like, oh, you got to get this degree and you've got to know those people and you've got to study with that teacher and whatever it is. That's not necessarily true. I mean, because of the ability, I'm going to hybrid this answer for general public and then specifically for singers. So it's like, if you have a laptop, if you have a smartphone and you have an idea, you can like set up a business online. You know, nobody is saying you can't do that because you didn't have the right degree. You can just do it. Now, as a singer, I did not go the traditional route. I was discovered in the living room. Y'all, I didn't do the competitions. I didn't do any of that. And by the way, most of your favorite singers didn't either. This is not really realistic. Norman's giving a thumbs up. That is just a way to gain visibility and skills. If you can gain visibility and skills without having to go through those training programs, there's still a space for you in the business. So how did you deal with your burnout situation if you feel comfortable sharing? Yes. And thank you, Tiffany, for that sweet message. I'm just seeing the stuff now. Yeah. Okay. So couple things. With Norman's situation, we actually saw professional help. This was great. We've been very open about this. It was just fantastic. We learned about ourselves. We learned about how to deal with anxiety. And, you know, Norman's had like an extremely successful career. He's been on the operatic stage for 20 years, all over the world, big places. And sometimes it just catches up with you. It's like, it's hard, you know, and you're traveling 10 months out of the year for 20 years. It's like, that's not very grounding. It's tough. So we went to therapy. And then in my case, my burnout is funny because I can like, as much as I can be the light in the room, man, I can just become a storm cloud. I can just get so frustrated because I just want to see things change. It's like they never change close and like fast enough. I'm like, change, you know, and I have no chill. So I can get very frustrated. And sometimes I find that I don't communicate very well when I'm like that. So sometimes I'll just find someone I'm very close to and have them act as a buffer for me so I can just calm down and build myself up again and then come out and actually be myself. So I think it's just really important to have a very small group where you can be completely yourself. They accept you for who you are. They're not grossed out by the ugly sides that we all have. We all have them, right? And this is part of how I overcome. Norman's burnout was different than mine. I sort of have like up and down like experiences, but Norman's was like an extended period. So I'm just very grateful that I've never been through an extended period, but I would just be lined all the way up for therapy. I'd be like, get me a therapist. I'm going to go treat this thing. I have no shame when it comes to that. I'm like, I don't want to be unwell. I've got too much stuff to do. I've got too many burdens and too many things I want to solve. I'm not trying to sit here and have a horrible life. So, you know, if anybody feels like that's not good, just go do it. It's just going to help you. The same is true for the corporate world. You might be told you need all this experience, but no one will give you a shot to get it. Find creative ways to get visibility and skills, and you can get jobs through so many processes that don't involve submitting your resume into a black hole. Listen, you just said a whole lot of true things.
And then Heather, to answer your question about increased visibility in the nonprofit industry, I'm going to put my email down there and we can have a conversation about that on a separate level because that's a little bit more specific, but I'm more than happy to speak with you about that.
Thank you for being so honest and open. I am in an academic research setting and feel the same sometimes. I appreciate you sharing. Well, we understand about that. Our CTO is also in academic research. And so I've learned about that whole new world. We're speaking life to it.
Well, if there are no more questions, Soula, thank you so much for such an eye-opening time together, and we really appreciate you.
Oh, thank you all. And just thank you for spending your time with me. And you know, make sure that you're following on social media and that you visit our website. You know, we just are about transforming lives, and we have a nice small community that is very dedicated to that. And we also sing opera. So, you know, come see our shows. That's the best way you can support us today is to come see our shows when they finally let us on stage again. Yay.
Well, I hope everyone has a great rest of your day and enjoys the weekend upcoming. Thank you for coming.
I didn't do a good job of this. I got to, bye.